What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. In this one, we'll break down what's going on with SPY, Tesla, and the QQQ, break down some very important news that just came out, and why Tesla is looking very bullish in the pre-market for today, and what I do see happening to the share price over the next couple of trading days. Before breaking things about all this information, before I talk about what's going on with Tesla stock, what you should be watching for, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends very soon, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. When it comes to Tesla, this thing's looking very nice so far, pumping in the pre-market. And I do believe Tesla's going to make its way up to the 290s very soon and get very close to $300 before Wednesday, in my opinion. It's looking very bullish for the time being, but don't forget that after earnings come out, it could make a very, very big move in either direction, which could also be the downside or the upside, but the downside's also very possible, especially looking at what some analysts are projecting. So now let's first talk about what's going on with the data. Let me just mention that there's no important data coming out for today, which gives the market a lot more freedom to flow like normal. So it's going to be very interesting to witness. It's been a long time since that last happened. Now, for the market's getting ready for earnings. We have like Netflix and Tesla and IBM announcing earnings on Wednesday. For tomorrow, we have some big banks announcing earnings like Morgan Stanley. I think we also have like Bank of America. And then for today, after the market closes, we have some more banks. Just want to remind you guys about that. For Nvda, I just want to mention we got some price target increases from $470 to $545, which is some bullish news for it. So we're going to see some more buyers try to defend Nvidia, but the market may act as an anchor for it. As I mentioned before in many videos, the market is going to likely get a slowdown, but Tesla's going to outperform. Now, the news came out that Tesla's produced the first Cybertruck at the Texas plant, which is bullish news for Tesla. Microsoft had some good deals and etc. But the biggest news right now that many people are watching involves Tesla approaching its earnings. Now, some more news came out about how Treasury Secretary Yellen came out and said that we're on good economic paths for the USA. That is good news as well. And finally, for Tesla, we had some very interesting perspectives that came out from some analysts this morning. So right here, Tesla discounts are set to power the quarterly revenue growth. However, there is still many concerns growing when it comes to their margins. So we're expecting good growth for their profitability, for their revenue and EPS, right? A 6% beat on EPS is expected. Tesla's expected to do very well with all those deliveries. But there is a cost to this, right? And there is some bad news that came out, at least from these analysts, who are saying that the price cuts is likely to have powered its strongest revenue growth while dragging down its margins to a 3-year low in April and June, around that period back then. So once again, we are anticipating some very weak margins, but besides that, everything else is still looking good for them. We're going to see what happens to their pricing and etc. Now, this tells me that once again, anything is still possible. I mean, Tesla could still gap up and pump after earnings comes out on Wednesday, or it could gap down and start dumping. So we have to be very careful with it approaching Wednesday. Now, that's the reason why I'm not going to play like too much overnight after Wednesday. I'm just going to be very, very careful and secure lots of these options profits like right before. That's just my strategy. You guys could follow it or not. It's up to you. It's your own choice. I just want to make that clear. I'm not giving any financial advice. But when it comes to Tesla right now, it's looking very bullish on the 4-hour time frame. You can see the MACD is wide open. Our stochastic is looking strong. RSI looking strong. And we had this we first had a nice like inverse head and shoulder structure that is developed where Tesla's still breaking out. And this also resembled, let me just zoom out a little bit, a very nice looking cup and handle like formation. So I'm going to be watching this thing break above 290 very soon. It's very close to it. It already broke above our resistance at 285. And this thing looks very bullish approaching earnings. I'm going to be watching this thing get very close to $300. I'm leaning more bullish on it, and it's looking very good so far. What tends to happen to Tesla, or at least what happened during the last few days, is it slows down when the market opens, slows down a little bit, then it starts to trade a little sideways. Then during the first couple of hours, we start to see Tesla pump very nicely. That's what typically happens. But this time around, I'm not really leaning more in that direction. I mean, it could cool off just a tiny bit, a couple of dollars, but I think the bigger move is going to be to the upside, regardless of how much it cools off. And I think it's going to eventually make its way up to the much higher levels later on today, going into like the 290 plus area. I think that's very possible. Approaching $300. I think Tesla has so much momentum and so much potential, as it looks very bullish. Now, I also want to add that SPY and the QQQ are looking bearish from a technical standpoint, but before the more bearish outcomes come, I think we're going to see the market try to hold up for a little bit. We might see SPY try to pop a tiny bit, trade a little bit sideways as time goes on. But ultimately, maybe like later on today, going into tomorrow, the next few days, I'm anticipating that this bearish cross in the PPO is going to lead to more downside. We can see this is looking a little bit dumpy. We have these like unfilled gaps right here. The odds favor us filling this gap down here around 446 on SPY, if not all the way down to this next gap around like the 442.3, 442 to 443 is likely going to be tested, in my opinion, as time goes on. So don't expect it to just crash immediately. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm anticipating a very healthy styled pullback after getting all the pumping. This is completely normal no matter how bullish the market is. And once again, we don't worry about if this market is like a kangaroo market or a koala market or a bull market. I'm not worried about any of that. Okay. Where the market goes is just based off the charts. We're just going to be reading the charts right now. And the charts are suggesting that the market was pumping so nicely for so long, for many, many days. It was just pumping and pumping and pumping with almost no downside. So for that reason, the market needs to cool off a bit. It needs to act like a balance to cool off the RSI, to cool off very, very healthy. And we need to see this very, very soon. So I'm anticipating that the market's going to just trade a little sideways and eventually see some downside. And we'll be watching these lower levels and these gaps down here on SPY. And it's the same thing for the triple Q. It's no different for the triple Q. This thing was almost identical to SPY in terms of these charts because this thing was pumping very hard with SPY after we got that CPI report last week, right? And now that the QQQ pumps so hard, we formed a bearish divergence, and we're about to get a bearish cross on the PPO as well. However, what I think is going to happen is it's going to try to pop a little bit, trade a little bit sideways, but I'm leaning more in the direction that's going to eventually come down, and I have a target of around 375. If that breaks, watch 373 on the triple Q over the next couple of trading days. But for today specifically, we might see the market hold up, trade a little sideways for some time before it slowly starts descending, in my opinion. So I think the market's looking weaker, okay, and this may slow down many other stocks, but Tesla in particular is looking strong. It looks very strong, and I think Tesla's going to outperform the market. We're going to see a lot of volume coming in. We're already starting to see more volume, and I think Tesla is primed for some very, very beautiful price action going into today and beyond. But don't forget, okay, this is just my prediction approaching earnings, not like for after. I don't know what's going to happen after. So because we don't know, it's very important to manage risks and be very careful. Once again, for Nvidia, I did mention that Nvidia got a price target upgrade. Let me just note that it's looking very mixed. Technicals look like we're about to get a bearish cross on the PPO and could start downtrending a little bit more, but it may try to pop after this news and try to hold up simultaneously. So what do I mean by that? We might see this thing try to pop a little bit, maybe cool off a little bit because of the market, and try to hold above this 450 area. But there is a chance it may, over time, still drop a little bit more. There could be more dropping coming to NVIDIA because of the market, because of the whole market coming down. But regardless of any dropping, whether it goes down to like 450 again, maybe it goes down to like 442, who knows? Like if it does break down to these lower levels, completely fine with me because NVIDIA is going to pump most likely to 500 plus by the time we get to like mid to late August, approaching earnings. I'm leaning more in that direction. Okay, I still think it's going to get a very nice bounce regardless of where it falls to. So it's very easy to just dollar cost average to like longer dated calls or do something like that just in case. Non-financial advice, but I'm just stating that NVIDIA is still primed. So regardless of where it falls, I'm still bullish approaching August. All right, guys, so that's what I'm seeing for it. Right, we had some bullish news, which is good for it. But the biggest thing on my eyes, on my radar for now, is going to be the one and only Tesla stock. And I'm very, very excited for how high it goes going into the next couple of days. I want to see $300. I'm really hoping we can get there. And I think it's going to come very close at the very least. All right, guys, thank you for listening. Have a great day. Remain calm, cool, and collected. Tesla to the moon as the long term is very bright. And peace out.